Ta-da! And welcome to Joseph's Model Railway and Toy Room. Thank you so much for watching me. As always, you don't need to like, follow or subscribe. I just put the videos out there where I can have a jolly great time doing so. If you can't beat them, join them. Well, so they say. In my case, if you can't buy them, build them. And unfortunately, while there'll be various different buffers here and there, there's not many on this layout. But on the key section, I need a very important buffer to look as reasonably realistic. I thought it would be a pretty easy process, but it's turned out to be 4 days in the making for one magnificent little piece. The concept was simple. Take a regular type of a buffer, and I just wanted to add a little red lantern onto it. If we have a look here, DCC Concepts actually makes exactly what I need, and it's in a 2-pack. What could go wrong? Plug and play, just purchase it. Well, unfortunately, there are none to be had anywhere. So I contacted DCC Concepts. Unfortunately, there is no plans for manufacturing anymore at the moment. So, okay then. But they've said to me, you can get these lanterns. So I thought, what the hey? Now, coming in at $50 Australian for 6 of these, I thought, what the hey? Of course, when they arrived, the package had been completely and utterly crushed. As a result, they sent me some more. So as you can see, the cable is about the thickness of a strand of human hair. And of course, because they do red and white, I just took a 9-volt battery and then I worked out which is red, which is white, and then with the white one, snipped the cord off, so I've effectively got 2 wires. We need to have a resistor soldered to it, so we're not going to have any complications. So I pre-loomed a magnificent soldering joint. I put the heat shrink in, all ready to go, tested it, looks fantastic, put it on the layout to do the photos and finish up the video, and it didn't work. So much so I thought maybe it's not so bad because the pre-loomed wire that I've done is a little bit thick. And if we keep it like this, we can slide it straight in under the board and we'll just lock it onto the electrical bus somehow. Well, I'm kind of glad I did it because I've redone it again, and literally how it's going to work, our feeder wires have, our positive terminal has indeed got our resistor soldered to it, and as a result we just need to make a little tiny 1/2 mil hole, slide those wires in, and underneath I think I'm just going to join it all up with a little Wago connection. That way if we ever need to do something in the future, just 2 little flips and out it comes. So as we come into some of these photos here, you will see that we've come off with a pretty fine result, and I'm trying to work on a particular type of buffer that I remember seeing when I was younger.
And just before we do, let's just take a quick moment here and pop over to the next town here in Queensland where I am at the moment. We're in Maryborough, and here we're going to see the Tiger Street stop on Kent Street. This indeed is a place where we still have the magnificent Mary Ann train running, and look at those crossing signs. I knew I kept seeing that inspiration from somewhere when I constructed them. It's a beautiful afternoon here. Across the road is where we have the EDI Downer rail yards, where they make the modern coaches and train engineering and construct a lot of locomotives here. It's a tremendous place to visit, and here is the stop. It's one of many that you'll see dotted around Australia. It's not the one that's given me all this inspiration for this particular buffer that we've built, but I think it's one worth noticing since I get to pass this one just about every month, and it's nice to see, and it's being well preserved, unlike the one we will now see. Well, here it is, Port Augusta, South Australia. Indeed, the next town over from where I grew up. Funny how I can never seem to nail living in the exact town with what I'm looking for. Well, not to worry, special thanks to my brother here for passing by and grabbing the shots I needed. Now, unfortunately, in recent years, you can see people have rammed it, but what we're just looking at, you can see they've built a nice boardwalk, is these close-ups at the end of the sleeper, the splitting and the rotting that we see in that timber, which is still standing today. That's what it's all about and what I'm trying to recreate. That is exactly the shade I have tried to model.
It had that nice section of timber that had been weathered nicely. So let me just point that out. How did we get this weathered like this? Well, to be honest, just slapped everything all at once on this one and just started from there. Started with something nice and light and then worked some colors back. really the magic key was to be using, so the magic solution, which I find in so many applications when we're dealing with timber, is to use the Woodland Scenics Track Painter Weathered Tie. So it's a wonderful tool. We take it off, we draw over whatever you need, and you've got that beautiful subtle bit of weathering without too much detail. We then take, once again, the Woodland Scenics Track Painter Rusty Rail, where we can just dab over all those rivet points that indicate where we might have the little rusted connections that are happening. But if we have a nice close look up now, you will notice that it looks like there's a few splits in the timber and that. Now, the way I achieved this in this particular plastic model kit from Bachmann was actually to take a blade and just run a few incidental little lines through it. Once they were there, just scuffed them up a little bit, and then of course took my favorite 0.4mm felt tip pen and just gently massaged it on there. Once it was all done, I came back over with a model wash just to sort of bleed everything together. And ladies and gentlemen, what you see before you is exactly what we've got. Another thing worth mentioning here is you'll notice the cables practically disappeared and I just routed them underneath. Now, I did have to take a small 1mm drill bit and drill down into that sleeper to feed the wires in. Originally, they ran around the back and looked exceptionally discreet, but it just was not working. So they advise you to do it this way, and that's a good reason why they advise it. Please spend the time and get a nice small hole drilled in.
So as you can see here, I've just slapped it down on a piece of track at the moment. Again, it's not ballasted or anything. This will be the disused piece, but the buffer's going to be sitting on another section. But I thought, just for the sake of the pictures, this isn't a bad spot at all. And these wires, you can see, will obviously have a small hole drilled in and disappear. But for the moment, I've just got it wired up to a 9-volt battery. Just remember that we do need to keep the resistor connected to the positive leg. And this, I think, isn't too bad at all. And here is our DCC Concepts lanterns. So this was the packaging of which it arrived. This is the original one that it got crushed in, and I just have bits of broken plastic in there. There's really not a great deal that was salvageable from that, unfortunately. When it came to the buffer, we're using the rail-built buffer stop by Bachmann. Always perplexes me a little bit with this particular one that it says rail-built buffer stop by 2. That would lead me to believe there's 2, but in the packaging there is only enough to do 1. So I just figure that there's the 2 sections there that you will need to join up with a drop of glue. So they're the 2 items that were used, and then obviously just the according weathering bits and pieces as needed.
Well, girls and boys, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. That now concludes this video. Nice and simple. Really happy. It's going to look even better when we've got it sit down on the right section of the track with the clump of dirt behind it. But it's been an absolute pleasure just sharing this little bite-sized little project that I've been up to. I know there are plenty of other people that have done a similar type of video. Again, there are pre-made ones of this. And also Charlie at Chadwick Railway demonstrates a fantastic one as well, as seen in this picture here. So lots of options to explore. Hope you enjoy, and we'll see you in the next one. Stay safe. Toodles.